Mercedes Mone fans, I got something you are definitely going to want to hear because Mercedes Mone is all elite and everyone's been talking about her arrival, what AEW is doing with her, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Hell, I've been critical of Mercedes Mone's booking in AEW. I've questioned what Tony Khan has up his sleeves because I'm not necessarily liking what I see in his booking of Mercedes Moné, because when she was out of WWE, when she was in New Japan, when she was in WWE, and now that she is in AEW, a lot of people, including myself, know the star power in which Mercedes Moné brings to a promotion. She brings outside interest. She brings inside interest. She has a loyal wrestling fan base. She also has a loyal outside wrestling fan base, thanks to her acting career, appearing in The Mandalorian, and any other projects in which she has. I mean, wrestling is not just the only thing that Mercedes Moné does. Right? She's a very successful businesswoman. She's a model. She's an actress. Right? But when it came to AEW, everyone had this question of what would AEW do with Mercedes Moné? Now, we know reportedly that internally, AEW, they have a women's segment, a women's match, a women's storyline, and then they have a Mercedes Moné segment, match, or storyline. And I like that, but you have to be able to capitalize on that. One of my fears with Mercedes Moné was that she would fall under the Jade Cargill issue. Now, look, Jade Cargill, massive star, just like Mercedes Moné. And while I appreciated the fact that Tony Khan would take the time and put her in a separate category, they booked her very dominantly. They booked her as the TBS champion. But on the flip side of that, they had an issue. The issue was she was not mixing it up with top talent. They kept her away from the Britt Bakers of the world and the Thunder Roses of the world for the most part. She was never the women's champion. She was always the TBS champion, and there's nothing wrong with being the TBS champion. I think Julia Hart's actually doing a phenomenal job as that champion right now. But there was a huge disconnect. She was not seen in the same light because she was not booked with the same people. And so when it comes to Mercedes Moné, I have a fear of that. And that leads me to today's topic, because Mercedes Moné, she continues to make the media rounds, and she was on 98.5 Stick to Wrestling. Yes, that's a real radio station. And she was talking about the conversations in which she had with Tony Khan before joining All Elite Wrestling. Now, keep in mind that Mercedes Moné is reportedly believed to be the highest paid female star in all of wrestling, and that includes Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch from WWE. Now, reportedly, before she secured a deal with AEW, she was in talks with WWE in 2022 and in 2023, both times in which she had a high price asking figure, to the point where the last negotiation, she wanted to be paid on the level of Becky Lynch. Previously, I heard that she wanted to be paid on Charlotte Flair's level. So, in regards to this is what she said. We've, Tony Khan, been talking for quite some time, and I just think the alignment just felt so right in 2024. And yeah, it's been so many beautiful things in the works. When he called the first time, I'm like, I'll think about it, TK. We got to build the relationship. Let me keep watching. Let me keep seeing this women's division. And I kept watching the women's division, and my dreams just became so much bigger and brighter, and I knew instantly I wanted AEW to be my home, end quote. A lot to break down there. First of all, Tony Khan reaching out to her beforehand, we knew that, right? Reportedly, even last year, they wanted her to make her AEW debut when she was still in New Japan, just making her debut, not signing a full-time deal or anything like that. They wanted her to appear on the Blood and Guts episode of Dynamite in Boston, her hometown. That would have been great, but she unfortunately suffered an injury that resulted in her undergoing surgery and put her on the shelf for several months. Then we saw her being in attendance at a press box at the All In event over in London at Wembley Stadium, right? So they've had their eye on her for quite some time. In regards to wanting to see the women's division, that shows you the businesswoman that Mercedes Mone is, because AEW fans and AEW haters alike, they have been critical of the way that the promotion and obviously Tony Khan books the women's division. There have been bright spots, most notably the build of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. That feud in 2021, I believe, the Lights Out match at Daly's Place. The rise of Julia Hart, the rise of Jade Cargill, the rise and the transformation, and I'll give her more credit than the promotion, but look at what Toni Storm has done with her Timeless Toni character, right? They've made big signings. They have brought back talent, such as Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa, and eventually Britt Baker when she gets healthy. He has brought in the likes of Mercedes and Mariah May and others. He has gone out and he has made notable talent signings, not only in the promotion, but more importantly, the women's division. So when she steps back and she looks at, okay, this is what Tony Khan's doing here, this is who he's signing, here is who he is using, how is he using them, that all goes into a decision in which whether or not she should sign with AEW. Right now, I don't know what they're doing. I assume they're saving her in-ring debut for Double or Nothing in May. That's late May. That's May 26th, I believe, in Vegas. I would not... It's hard because, like, if you save her in-ring debut for pay-per-view, it makes sense, right? More interest. They did that with Punk. I'm not saying she's on the level of Punk. She's not even in the same universe as Punk. But as a female star, she's pretty big, right? She's one of the biggest female draws in any company. Punk is an outlier. He's a unicorn. We get that, right? And if you don't, that's a you problem. But I would assume that they save her in-ring debut for Double or Nothing. I would agree. I would push for them to save her in-ring debut for a pay-per-view. Now, I would have saved it and moved it up to Dynasty. That way you get that initial buzz for Dynasty. You get that initial buy for Dynasty, and you get her in-ring debut out of the way while drawing money. And then that sets up her being able to be used on television more than doing promos or backstage segments or freaking commentary for some strange, odd reason, Tony. You know what I mean? You can set that up, and then you can do a big match at Double or Nothing, because Double or Nothing, it's going to draw its own audience, right? It's one of the pillars of AEW's pay-per-view event schedule annually. Dynasty, this is the inaugural event, and it needs a little bit more of a help, right? A boost, if you will. So we'll see. We'll see what they do, but I thought that was very interesting comments by Mercedes Mone.